Hello, Trade Ideas user. We're going to do an updated video on Holly here. Some changes were made by our management and development teams on Holly regarding some of the exits. So we're going to go ahead and update just a full overview of Holly, especially for those folks that are looking to more focus on Holly and less on the rest of the software. So when you start up Trade Ideas, you're going to have some kind of layout that starts up. It'll most likely be what we call our dock channel bar and explosive winners channel. Excuse me. Just going to open that to show what this would actually look like. And you'd be finding something that looks similar to this right here when you first start Trade Ideas. If you want Holly to be your sole focus, we can just kind of ignore this whole setup that's right here. There are a few spots within this channel bar that Holly will live. I do think it's better to create your own Holly layout, which I'm going to go over momentarily. But you can see over here on the left side, AI long, AI short. If we were to click on either one of those are just showing the Holly alerts on the long side, meaning you're buying the stock. And then the Holly alerts on the short side, meaning you're short selling the stock like that. There is, if we scroll down, many other channels in here that you could always go over yourself at your own time. And there's an overall Holly channel at the bottom as well that we go ahead and click on. And it will give us something that looks like this regarding Holly here. Now, for those that are solely focusing on Holly, I think the best way to do this would be as the follow. You want to come to New on your menu bar up here and look down here for AI Strategy Trades window. This will have some defaults on it, and you want to just check your filters here. Make sure that you have no filter that's set there to block any trades, and that you're looking at all the strategies that Holly used today. We'll get into strategies in a moment here. And we can see here on the way I'm displaying this for my own personal default that I have set up, we've got the long or short if the trade is such side, the strategy it came from, the entry time on the trade, the symbol, the entry price. I've got last price, the change since the entry price, max profit, which I'll cover momentarily, the suggested stop price, and there's what's called a segment here. We'll also go over that in a moment as well here. With any trade, you're going to want your own charts. If we come to New, we can open up a chart window here. We can set those chart windows up as we like. We can right click and duplicate this chart here. And we can have a daily chart, for example, and I can change the time frame with the clock and a 5-minute time frame here. If we right click the chart, we can show AI trades on here. If I click on one of these trades, you're going to see I get some data that's on that chart for me here. Same will pertain to the daily chart. We have what we call browser and non-browser charts. If I right click and I put the browser interface on, it does change the look of this, and it's a cleaner look of what Holly is showing here without all the shading. Again, if I unselect that browser option, we can see the difference in those charts here. And it just gives a shaded area from when the trade started as it goes through. And it shows the risk for the stop loss here, and it shows a potential profit here. Now that profit is based on, if we come to Tools, Options, AI trade size, it gives us a hypothetical portfolio here, and we could do it based on a stop loss. It's Holly specific stop loss, where we're saying if we get stopped out, we'd only lose $100 is what I've got set up here. We could do it on amount of shares, where I could say if we hypothetically take 100 shares, 1,000 shares, 5,000 shares, or we could do it on a hypothetical amount bought of the stock here, whether we wanted to say it was $500, $100, $3,000, so on and so forth. For myself and my personal default, I like to have a $100 risk for every hypothetical trade. You'd go ahead and select apply and save those changes. And that's where this max profit comes in from here. So from the entry point to the best point of that trade, we would see what those max profits would be for each one of these trades. We can see some of these got fairly nicely into the money. They have, of course, reversed some of them since. And that's where your own trade management will have to come in. Again, to iterate, Holly's only going to recommend an entry and a stop. As far as the ultimate price target, that is up to you how you want to manage those trades. I'd like to go into these columns up here now and how to add and subtract other columns. If we right click here, we can come to columns. On the right side here, I'm going to circle it. This is your master bank. On the left side, this is what you are displaying. And we would go ahead and use these arrows to move things from right to left or left to right. We can show an example of that here. If we wanted to enter distance from max profit, we could select it and move it over into the selected columns. And we press OK, we're going to see that column is now added to my columns right here. I want to go over some other right-click features within Holly itself here. If we right-click here, we can see that we can send this to a chart specifically, a single stock window. We could send it to X or Twitter. We could send the symbol to the web. We could send it to a personal symbols list as well. When it comes to symbol linking, this has to do with our charts. We can have our charts linked to Holly or not linked to Holly. We can have it linked to specific charts by the coloring that's on here. We can tell what the coloring of the linking is by looking in the top left corner. We can see that all these are red linked together, like so. Let's continue on here. We have history, signals that are only in the money over these time frames, and we can select a time frame. You can go back a maximum of 60 days on a time frame. We do signals out of the money in the history. Maybe we're looking for things that have bottomed out and maybe have a chance to reverse. We could do all history right here, and all three offer the same way to time frame this. We could duplicate this window. If we wanted to have this in what we call a docked window, we could duplicate it into that. We can show the strategy menu here up at the top. We can get rid of that up there. We can bring that back in. We can also show the long-term trades here. These are older Holly alerts that have happened and are still in the money currently. We can go ahead and clear those out. Our pin feature would mean that if we changed the channel or if we opened a new layout, that this window would stay. That's a very advanced feature, so I would recommend looking through the user's guide for further information and understanding of what pinned means. In the actions here, if we right click that, we can put a sound alert on. We could check play sound, set up sound, and we could set that up. These top three here are very similar, top four here are very similar in their sound with a kind of beep, bell, ding. We have a text to speech as well that we can use too. One more right click, that would bring us back to the columns. The save default will be if you have a setup of columns and the way you have this set up and you want to see every time you open this Holly window, you'd simply save that as default, and every time you then went to File, Premium AI Strategy Trades window, it would open exactly like what you had just saved it previously. Last but not least, we talked about segments before. On here we can see Holly Grail and Holly Neo. There's a slight difference. Years ago, it was only Holly and that was it. And then a Holly 2.0 and a Holly Grail were added. The Holly 2.0 has been combined into the Holly Grail now, as their strategies had similar back testings. However, the Holly Neo runs a little different, where its back testing can never alter the relative volume filter in it. Relative volume will always be very high in any Holly Neo alert, and so for that reason those segments have remained separate, but there is no Holly 2.0. It has been moved into the Holly Grail to lessen confusion and also to cut down on server space. So that covers, for the most part, our AI strategy trades window. There's another Holly window here if we come to New and we look for Premium AI Strategy window. This window here will give us some other information about Holly and what's going on with Holly today. We have a graph here that just shows strict profit from where the trade is to the where the trade started to where the trade is now, based on last price. In here we can see the strategies that Holly came today. Holly has 60 some odd base strategies. The ones that backtest and optimize the best, those will come to the table every day, and when a scan finds a stock that meets them, it will alert in real time. There are the Holly Neo strategies that historically do very well, and even when they struggle for a short period of time, they remain in all the time. There are 4 Holly Neo strategies. All 4 of those will be part of the strategy blotter every single day. The Holy Grail ones will get mixed up based on the back testing and the optimization performance. We can see over here, based on the back testing of the prior day, what the profit factor and win percents of those are. The strategies being long or short, their name. They all have a time stop for the end of the day. So if you do not get stopped out, Holly would then exit those trades at the end of the day, making it a day trade. We can see today's current win percentages on each of the strategies and how many trades they've taken. So we can see these 3 strategies, no stock met them today, so there was no trades in those today. Then it goes on to several other items here as columns. Much like the AI strategy trades window, a right click reveals a menu to us here. And we can go through each one of these items and we could see the trades for said strategy that we right click. We could view all trades. We could view the open trades only. We could view the closed trades only. Again, we talked about symbol linking before, and this would have to do with we were viewing different trades. Again, we talked about duplicating. We talked about duplicating into a docked window. If you have further questions on docked windows, the same as I talked about with pin windows, please give a search in our user's guide for that. You should find some up-to-date information in there about docked windows and how those work. Again, the strategy window at the top, we can go ahead and drop that out. We could bring that back in. We can drop the profit graph off. We could bring it back in. Once again, we've talked about the pin. And here again, the columns, we get the same as we did in the prior window, the full bank over here, and what we're looking at over here. And once again, we would select here and use the arrows to move them back and forth from one side to the other as we'd like to see those. Finishing up here, the same with the save as default. You set columns in here. You set this in a specific way. You like to drop the graph off. You want to have the strategies up here with the filters. However you like to do that, that's entirely up to you. And of course, then you save it as default. And if you ever open this window again, it will open exactly as you see there. And last but not least, as we mentioned before, the segments in this here. So those are the ins and outs and the basics of Holly here. As we click through these alerts, we can see how the short trades work here, and we can see how the long trades work as well. With the stop being shown and telling us our risk based on that AI trade size that we found under tools, options, and AI trade size for that hypothetical portfolio. And we can see the same as it moves up, what and where it would go as far as a possible profit would be on that. All these alerts are idea generation. None of them are meant to be financial advice. Of course, anybody that is seeking true financial advice should be seeking out a financial advisor. However, the idea behind this is trying to give people leverage alerts that have been back tested and optimized, to give them something to seek for idea generation that is maybe more quality than just randomly searching stocks out on their own, out there on the web. Hope this video has been informative and helpful. And of course, if you have any questions any questions at all, please reach out to us at trade-ideas.com. You can also find us at support@trade-ideas.com for an email. We'll get right back to you as soon as possible. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.